Hi, TikTok. I never thought I would be on here, but I've been doing a lot of reflection recently, and I just get a little frustrated with, where I see the United States in terms of just all the anger and violence and everything in our country right now, especially in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination and the murders of the Minnesota politicians. We just can't keep doing this. We need to figure out a way to kind of come together as a nation and be less divisive. You might be asking yourself why I'm all red and sweaty and stuff. I just got back from a run. I've been trying to dabble a little bit in running again. I went 4.5 miles in about 9:30 pace per mile. So all you runners out there, please give me some tips because I want to get better. But running gives you a lot of time to think, and I was just mulling it over. I don't do a whole lot of social media, but I just feel like, I want to enter into the conversation and, put this out there. So I just want to briefly tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 35 years old. I'm married to a beautiful wife. I have 2 young sons, 5.5 and 1.5, and then we're expecting a little daughter next month. So, God willing, soon we'll have 3 kids. I was born and raised in Missouri. I went to undergrad and got degrees in mathematics and exercise science, and I was on the track and field and weightlifting teams there as well. So physical fitness is pretty important to me, though it has fallen off a bit in the past few years. Then after that, I went to medical school and ended up completing a residency in emergency medicine. So I worked for a while at a big level 1 trauma center, saw a lot of tragic stuff, hopefully got to help people along the way. And then I've been out of residency for about 5 years now, working in the Midwest still in emergency medicine, and still doing my best to try to help people whenever possible. I really like rock climbing. I like making homemade pizza dough, and trying different toppings. I have a goal to build a pizza oven at some point. I like sports, soccer, basketball, baseball. I'm a Christian, more specifically a Catholic. I just kind of tell you all of this to hopefully we can find some commonality wherever you fall in your life, whether you're left wing, right wing, whether you agreed with Charlie Kirk, whether you disagreed with his views. Violence just is not the answer. So hopefully on this channel, I will use my time to talk about maybe some politics, maybe some exercise tips, maybe some food tips, hopefully get some people's help on running or how to get better at rock climbing, or offer some tips on how to stay out of the emergency room. Any questions you may have, please send them my way, and hopefully we can start a conversation. The most important thing to me, though, is definitely my Christian faith. I wanted to share some Bible verses and a short reflection. So if you would just join me for this reading. I think my page got turned. Okay. This is from Luke chapter 10, starting at verse 25. There was a scholar of the law who stood up to test him and said, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus said to him, "What is written in the law? How do you read it?" He said in reply, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your being, with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself." He replied to him, "You have answered correctly. Do this, and you will live." But because he wished to justify himself, he said to Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus replied, "A man fell victim to robbers as he went down from Jerusalem to Jericho. They stripped and beat him and went off, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the road, but when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. Likewise, a Levite came to the place, and when he saw him, he passed by on the opposite side. But a Samaritan traveler who came upon him was moved with compassion at the sight. He approached the victim, poured oil and wine over his wounds, and bandaged him. Then he lifted him up on his own animal and took him to an inn and cared for him. The next day he took out 2 silver coins and gave them to the innkeeper with the instruction, 'Take care of him. If you spend more than what I have given you, I shall repay you on my way back.' Which of these 3, in your opinion, was neighbor to the robber's victim?" He answered, "The one who treated him with mercy." Jesus said, "Go and do likewise." So this story is just so important to me. When we talk about who is our neighbor, Jesus says, even people who you disagree with are your neighbor. You're called to love them. I think, in the world we live in right now, it's become more and more common to just kind of vilify other people, or, people you disagree with, just totally write them off. That's, I don't think, what Jesus is calling us to do. So today I just ask you to reflect a little bit on that reading, and then I want to offer one challenge, which is to, if there's somebody in your life who you disagree with, or you hate, or has wronged you, I just ask you to say a quick prayer for them. 15 seconds, just say, "Lord, please bless that person today." If you're called to it, shoot them a text, or just try to soften your heart a little bit towards those who you hate or who hate you. And maybe we can make this world a better place. Thanks.